odds are in favor of Paddy. Like, do you feel like you're gonna play spoiler, or do you feel like, hey, they're looking at this whole thing wrong right now?
No, I love being the underdog. I think I've been the underdog. So out of the 12 fights, I think I've been an underdog like 8 or 9 times. You know, because I'm always fighting such tough competition. But yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Tony Ferguson and Khabib. I'm gonna fuck this whole thing up, and then I'm gonna fight.
Justin Gaethje did more than respond to questions in his latest interview. He delivered a clear message aimed directly at Paddy Pimblett. As his voice grew more serious, the atmosphere changed instantly. What once felt like promotional talk suddenly turned into something far more serious. A single remark from Gaethje was enough to completely alter the mood, leaving people questioning whether Paddy truly grasps what he's about to face.
Hold me against Paddy, because I think that he's gonna...
You think Paddy's gonna beat Justin Gaethje?
Easy.
Wow.
Easy.
Really easy?
Yeah, easy.
Really easy?
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje Paddy Pimblett is a fantastic, entertaining fight. For what it is a fucking...
Being cast as the underdog doesn't faze him at all. If anything, it's a position he's used to. He pointed out that his entire career has been built on facing dangerous opponents, and this situation is no exception. Then he pushed it further, explaining that he intends to disrupt the narrative, just like he did against Tony Ferguson, showing up uninvited, throwing everything off, and taking control as soon as the cage locks.
I gotta ask this before we go. This will be, I think you have the opportunity to become the only 2-time interim UFC champion, but when you look at it, do you look at it as an interim title, or do you think, no, Ilya's out right now, so I consider myself the champ?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, when you have an interim championship on paper, it is everything and anything a UFC championship is pay-wise. So I'm going to get paid as challenging for a championship this fight. I'm going to get paid as defending a championship when I defend it next time. And whether it's an interim or undisputed, it's the same thing on paper. And so, it gets me paid more, and obviously it gets me a headlining spot on the biggest card of the year. First Paramount show. And again, I'm just so thankful that the UFC trusts me.
Keeping that same calm delivery, Gaethje brushed past the idea of labels altogether. When the topic of the interim title came up, he explained that the wording on the belt doesn't change how things work financially, organizationally, or in the UFC's records. To him, it holds the same value as any championship. In his view, he's being compensated like a title contender now, and will be compensated like a reigning champion next time, no qualifiers attached. Add to that a featured position on one of the biggest cards of the year, the inaugural Paramount event. And he made it clear he appreciates the confidence the UFC has placed in him. Interim status aside, he sees this stretch as just as legitimate and fulfilling as any full title run.
Do you feel like, because I think the odds are in favor of Paddy, like, do you feel like you're gonna play spoiler, or do you feel like, hey, they're looking at this whole thing wrong right now?
No, I love being the underdog. I think I've been the underdog. So out of the 12 fights, I think I've been an underdog like 8 or 9 times. Because I'm always fighting such tough competition. But yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Tony Ferguson and Khabib.
That same mindset carried over when Paddy's comments came up. He didn't see it as real trash talk, just to different personalities being themselves. Paddy is loud by nature, he's direct by nature, and together it adds spice to a fight fans already want to see. He said he's fine with Paddy stirring things up, but made it clear the real chaos starts once the cage door closes. Calling himself the division's most reliable violence, he acknowledged Paddy's rise and promised the arena will explode when they meet.
It's Paddy, right? He said some things about you. Like he said, talking about you being on the sidelines, and I don't know if it was trash talk or whatever it was, trying to build the fight. But what do you think of Paddy? Like, do you think it's going to be cordial? Do you think there's going to be some trash talk today? Like, what's your opinion on the guy?
I mean, I think people will think it's trash talk, but it's just him being him, me being me, If this isn't entertainment business, then he's one entertaining motherfucker. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind him adding something to the story so people want to watch. Either way, people are going to want to watch. I'm the most consistent, most exciting guy, and this guy is on a freaking tear right now. So when that cage door locks, we're going to try to beat the shit out of each other, and I can guarantee every person...
Picking up from Gaethje's remarks, Paddy kept his response straightforward. He said the belt being fought for is the only one that matters, and with Ilya unavailable, he views this as the legitimate lightweight title rather than a temporary substitute. He's not overlooking it or holding out for something else. This is the opportunity in front of him. If he wins, he plans to take it back to Liverpool. He added that his stance toward Gaethje was never personal. It simply didn't add up. In his mind, explaining that he's always disliked long periods of inactivity, by the time this fight happens, he'll have been out for 8 or 9 months, which already felt excessive to him. He tried to compete sooner, pushing for October in Abu Dhabi, but every top contender was already booked max with Dustin. Charles, with Gamrot leaving Justin as the only available option, a matchup Paddy thought might materialize at the time. When it didn't, he shrugged it off, saying everything ultimately fell into place anyway.
This is a crazy game, and he's going to get his chance, so see what happens.
Last question. Do you feel like, because I think the odds are in favor of Paddy, like, do you feel like you're going to play spoiler, or do you feel like, hey, they're looking at this whole thing wrong right now?
Oh, no, I love being the underdog. I think I've been the underdog, so out of the 12 fights, I think I've been an underdog like 8 or 9 times.
Continuing his point, Gaethje said he had no issue with drawing Paddy as his opponent, stressing that the interim title is fully legitimate in every way. He didn't know it would be Paddy until late in the process, but with Ilya's plans unclear, he stayed ready regardless. Once it came together, he felt the matchup fit perfectly, and with Paramount's first UFC card showcasing 2 action fighters, he promised an explosive fight.
It's tough competition, but yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do the same thing I did with Tony Ferguson and Khabib. I'm going to fuck this whole thing up, and then I'm going to fight Ilya.
And I will, actually, I got to ask this before we go. This will be, I think you have the opportunity to become the only 2-time interim UFC champion.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, do you look at it as an interim title, or do you think, no, Ilya's out right now, so I consider myself the champ?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, when you have an interim championship on paper, it is everything and anything a UFC championship is pay-wise. So I'm going to get paid as challenging for a championship this fight. I'm going to get paid as defending a championship when I defend it next.
Paddy offered another perspective, explaining that he spent part of his camp preparing for Ilya, and only learned a few days before the announcement that Justin would be his opponent. Even so, he said, it's an honor to step into the cage with someone of Gaethje's level, and described the matchup as something special. Like Gaethje, he made it clear he isn't treating the belt as secondary until Ilya comes back. This is the legitimate lightweight title, and that's exactly what's on the line.
How far back did you know it would be Paddy? And is there any disappointment that it's not undisputed or, Arman, who's highly ranked?
No, it's no disappointment at all. I mean, everything on paper, interim champion is the same as a champion on paper, contract-wise. And that's what we fight for. This is my job, and it's the biggest opportunity for me. I didn't know a long time before they announced the fight that it was going to be Paddy. I think they were waiting to see if Ilya was going to fight, and I think that variable was kind of unpredictable. None of us knew when he was going to fight. That's what I kept telling everybody. Like, whenever Ilya fights, I want to fight. And turns out he's going to sit down for a little bit. So Paramount, this is they need Michael Johnson versus Justin Gaethje coming out party, and Paramount, UFC combining. I mean, this is the fight that everyone wants. We're going to gain massive fans for the UFC, entertainment business, and I'm the most entertaining fighter in the world.
Baddy remained composed and self-assured when discussing Gaethje, acknowledging Justin's reputation for overwhelming opponents but insisting he doesn't expect to end up the same way. He's approaching camp with that in mind, focused on staying strong and protected no matter how fierce the battle becomes.
Same question for Paddy.
Well, I was half preparing for Ilya, to be honest. I was doing little bits in training camp for Ilya, and then like 2 days before the announcement I got told it was Justin. But it's a privilege to share the octagon with such a legend, and it's gonna be unbelievable to get in there with him. And as he said, until Ilya comes back, this is the real belt. People call it a fake belt all they want, but until Ilya comes back into the octagon, this is the belt. Me and him.
Turning to the analysts, Joe Rogan called Gaethje an exceptionally fearsome fighter, one who stands out even in a sport defined by violence. He highlighted the Barbasha knockout as a perfect example of Justin's mix of calculated chaos, fierce, and relentless, yet precise. Rogan emphasized that Gaethje improves with every fight, leaving the key question: just how much has he fine-tuned his skills for this showdown with Paddy?
He's a monster. He's a terrifying individual. In a sport that's violent, he stands out. as the most violent. You watched his knockout of Edson Barboza. That motherfucker attacks people. There's a reckless abandon to his calculated wildness. He's better all the time. The question is, how much...
In a candid conversation with Joe Rogan, Ilya spoke plainly, predicting that Paddy will get the better of Gaethje. He acknowledged Justin's raw power, but noted that grappling isn't his strongest suit, whereas it's Paddy's specialty. Ilya explained that while Gaethje can overwhelm with sheer strength, Gaethje's skill in submissions and wrestling strategy gives him an advantage, which could prove decisive once the fight goes to the ground.